Peace, y'all. I go by the name of YaH-Ra, and I decided to make this mini documentary entitled CALiFORNiCATiON Phase 1 for many different reasons. The first main reason is that I am interested in continuing to study filmmaking, script writing, things of that nature. As you may or may not know, I edit most of my videos, and so I want to take that a step further, and what better place to start than making a mini doc of my own, and what better way to start than experimenting with my own art, and thus I created this, CALiFORNiCATiON Phase 1. It'll be the first of a 3-part documentary series. So, to take it back a little bit, when it comes to music, I have a really tight relationship with music, even from my childhood. When I would watch the Disney movies and cartoons, I would really take to the music. I enjoyed things like MTV as a little kid. My teachers definitely especially noticed that I was gifted as a writer. At that age, I didn't really put those two things together, though. I wouldn't put my love for music and my gift of writing together. So we'll save that for another doc as to when, getting more into that. But I definitely as a youngin', I enjoyed music of all kind. My family play a lot of different types of music. Predominantly, I listen to a lot of hip-hop. And so, yeah. As a kid, my favorite singers were Aaliyah, Lauryn Hill, Mary J. Blige, Bob Marley, Tupac, Nate Dogg, and I like Nas a lot. The first time I ever rapped in front of people, I was in the 4th grade, and we had to make a class project, and it was like we all had to come together and sing a song, the kids who wanted to do it. And so I volunteered, and there was a big group of us, maybe like 15 kids, and my idea was for us to rap Nas' I Know I Can. I know I can be what I want to be. If I work hard at it, I'll be where I want to be. And so the class mom, my friend Caitlin, her mom was like, oh, that's a great idea. So we looked the song up, and because it cussed and stuff, like, we had to change some words. But basically as a group, we all put it together and we performed Nas' I Know I Can. And so that's the first time I remember ever actually rapping in front of a large group on stage. But I was a theater kid. I loved performing dance team, dance class, lip sync contest, dance contest, teaching dance, musical theater. I did it all, talent shows. But again, at this time, I wasn't necessarily focused on music or recording music. I was focused on being a performer, an actress, anything on that stage, dancer, all that. So, fast forward, I eventually wound up in college because I had really good grades, but I didn't feel like I could be myself in school. I feel like most of my life, I just knew how to be a good student, but I didn't really learn a lot, hopefully that makes sense. I know how to just get along and get good grades. Like, that wasn't difficult. Even though childhood was kind of difficult, I still knew how to be regular, I guess. Like, I knew how to blend in. I knew how to get A's and B's without trying. However, in my writing classes, I would try. And my teachers really loved me when it comes to like language arts, writing, and literature type classes. So that's kind of where I excel. But anyway, I wound up in college for business. After about maybe a year, I got into an accident. My car flipped, and I got really depressed after that, and my grades slipped. Nothing happened to me in the accident. I just had like minor injuries, nothing crazy. Obviously my car was totaled. My friend was in the car. She was alive too. We flipped over like 3-4 times. But for some reason after that event, it's like my grades just went downhill. When I had my own dorm, I didn't even own a TV. Like, all I did was play music 24/7. And like, if I would date a guy, he'd be like, I'll buy you a TV. I'm like, I really don't care about this. I'm not saying I don't ever watch TV. I'm just saying, looking back, my dorm, I didn't have a TV in there for like a year because the music and like being on YouTube was enough. But specifically music, playing music 24/7. I didn't really need to watch TV. So that was kind of interesting. So all these like small things looking back, I guess kind of foreshadowed my love of music. But again, even still at this time, I was not a recording artist. I was just a college student trying to figure it out. I eventually dropped out of school because I just felt like I got too depressed after the accident, and then I ended up finding out like my major didn't exist anymore. So like 3 years in, and they're like, oh, your major we don't have this anymore. So like, in a way I got super discouraged because I'm like, how the fuck I don't have, first of all, how did I not be told this sooner? And then like, how does my major not exist, like, so I was having other issues with college in general. Like, I didn't feel like I was getting enough help. I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing, like, and so that along with my slipping grades made me like not want to go to school. I needed a break, or I just couldn't be in college going to class 4 to 5 days a week. And knowing that I've been in school since I was 4 years old, all the way to that age, like, it was like, damn, like, can I just have a break mentally? I kind of like let people force me to go to school, like, that's what you have to do. But I knew that I wasn't focused, and my grades, I would only keep like slipping. So due to like super traumatic things, I needed a mental break from the craziness of my family and different things I went through, like my sister passing away, my car accident. Many people in my family on both sides are locked up or inherited drug addictions, like run-ins with the law, prison. It was just a lot, and I don't think I was ready for college. I didn't drop out for good, but I needed the break, like I said. But then I started structuring my own learning in order to heal my mind. So I told myself, even though you're dropping out of school, you need to be studying certain things and, still continuing your education. So anyway, I continued my learning, which led me to music. I always had a job, but I would have a part-time job, and then I would like teach myself stuff. At that time, I lived in Riverside, and yeah, so I discovered music at this time. I started going to a lot more concerts, and after that, I ended up discovering the local artist scene, which included someone very important by the name of Noah James. And Noah James is one of my earliest mentors in this music scene, especially in the Inland Empire. He's done a lot of things for us as far as giving us platforms to perform and hone our crafts. So shout out to Noah James and Brick to Your Face, as well as Lisa J, who also runs that entity, Brick to Your Face, based in the Inland Empire and worldwide. So I start kind of getting to know all these artists and learning the ropes, and I also start going to more shows, and I'm seeing more people, more rappers live, and in my mind I'm like, dang, I feel like I could do this, I'm not bad at this, these guys making millions doing that, I should believe in myself. I feel like this would be really something I would enjoy. not just being in the crowd or being a catalyst for artists, but actually making music based off the many things I would write. In the past, growing up, I wrote poems, books, essays, all these things to this day, which I still do. But once again, I never fused it with the stage experience I had. So at that point, I wanted to learn how to record and how to be in the studio. The first person who ever had me in the studio is Cassius, who's a part of Shady Records. Shout out to him. We did a song called Fading Out, and so I took the train to Orange County to the lab, and him and his manager were there, and he just showed me basics of recording, and from there, it was pretty much on and cracking. I would try to figure out studio time in the Inland Empire, but there are not a lot of recording studios there. I didn't have a car to be in LA all the time, and I didn't know anyone in LA. So this is where I first got my first USB microphone by my friend Nick Bennett. He actually gave me one, and it was a pretty cheap contraption. However, I learned that along with GarageBand, and I started learning about SoundCloud. So I put music on SoundCloud, freestyles. The levels were crazy because I didn't know what I was doing. They're probably still up there. I apologize in advance. So from SoundCloud, I just further my education. I would get books. YouTube University is cool, but sometimes it's hard for me to listen to someone's voice for 20 minutes. And so I find that mostly books were the main thing of how I learned to engineer. I utilize Logic Pro because, as we all know, there's lots of cracked versions of these DAWs. So it was either that or Ableton, but Logic Pro is super dope. So to this day, that's what I use. So I also learned to engineer out of necessity in many ways because of geographic where I was. The fact that I didn't have a car and the fact of me being a woman, many people trying to barter information or studio time, for power over me physically, or trying to have sex, exchanging sex for information or basic things. So, I learned that engineering myself was the best way to go. Oh yeah, so eventually, although I did learn to engineer myself, I still figured that I should start networking and going to Los Angeles a lot more. So I used to ride the train to LA all the time, and I'll just try to network. I'll go to Fairfax, basically areas of LA where I knew a lot of artists were. Venice Beach, Fairfax, and then I'll just make more friends. By now, social media is also a thing. So I would go to events and stuff based off artists I like. This is probably the era of blogging. So it wasn't hard to find your tribe, so to speak, like it is, but it's also not if you know what you're looking for. I took so many rides on the train by myself, hours and hours spent traveling in order to do this music shit. Even to this day again, hours and hours in the car, train, plane, especially out west. So on the train, I remember playing things to motivate me, such as Nipsey's mixtapes before he blew up, T.I., Motivation 101, The King, stuff like that. Anything TDE dropped, anything Nicki Minaj dropped. Some of that music got me through the toughest times of uncertainty and being afraid riding the train by myself at night and things, and just traveling alone to LA and stuff. So yeah, music meant a lot to me even during the super grind, the early super grind. Yeah. So fast forward, because I'm gonna save more stuff for the other installments of this series. CALiFORNiCATiON is about people who, like me, who have traveled for their dreams to California. Even if you're not from here, a lot of people do come here. Or eventually, if you're at the top of your craft, you will find yourself in Los Angeles for some reason. Whatever field you're in almost, whether that's tech, entertainment, education, film, cannabis, farming, it doesn't matter. You're probably going to end up out here. And there's so many things to experience. I grew up in the Inland Empire, but again, been in LA a while. Palm Springs, California, San Francisco, Riverside, Long Beach, Santa Barbara, San Diego. All of these different cities are completely different than the next. All of these counties. And so CALiFORNiCATion is just about the influence of my surroundings. Growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. I didn't grow up well-traveled. I grew up well-cultured, but I didn't grow up well-traveled. So most of my inspiration comes from, this vast place I'm in. I write 100% of my music, and if I didn't write a song, I would just tell you guys, because it's not that deep. My fans know I possess a lot of artistic integrity, and I wouldn't be ashamed to be like, oh, blah blah wrote this, because that's part of the game anyway. So yeah, I would have no problem credit. You wouldn't have to be a ghostwriter, because I would just tell people like, oh, Pharrell wrote this, obviously, or whoever, because that's also part of artist collaboration. But as of today, I've written 100% of my music, anything weird, and I've probably engineered 90% of it. When you silence women or force writers on us, we cannot utilize our freedoms of expression that we possess as privileged Western women, which is why a female having 17 writers is whack to me. As Nicki Minaj said, like, part of rapping is writing, not just delivery. So, it's important to me that people are able to receive my expression untainted, untampered with, and pure. So back to the album, there's a lot of great people who helped me get this accomplished, such as, obviously it's my first album coming out through Gold Chain Music. At that point I had turned in one mixtape, but it was my first album through Gold Chain Music, but also my first album ever, and so I won't say I felt pressure, but I felt like it was a big responsibility. I knew I had hella songs, and after a while, I knew I had to turn an album in, and when I would go back and play all my records, there were some that were standing out to me as a story, and the story would be West Side Tales, CALiFORNiCATion, all these artists I know with so many funny stories of coming to Cali and Los Angeles and living their dreams, and you would have to be here to understand, like, the homegirl told me about how she saw Dennis Rodman, he wrote his window down and chunked her to deuce, or, me seeing, you just see a lot of random shit out here. Oh, by the way, in the song CALiFORNiCATion, for example, when I said, the cactus will poke you, I just met an actress at Whole Foods, basically, I had ran into the lead actress from the Netflix series Queen of the South. Her name is Alice Braga. She plays Teresa Mendoza. And so, again, just more randomness in Cali. I have way more stories for y'all, but that's just to tell y'all that was a real bar. Like, these bars are inspired by myself or other people. I wouldn't recommend limiting your CALiFORNiCATion vacation to simply visiting Los Angeles. I think people should expand the dynamic and be really inspired. There's a whole lot of nature here. Like, me being an IE baby, we would go to the lakes, the beach, the desert, the mountains, Big Bear, Rim of the World, all these places. I've been to Sequoia. So CALiFORNiCATion is about embracing the culture here and the way that it's made me into who I am today, the artist I am, giving the diverse sound waves to find, all the food, all the beautiful people. And it's a little more progressive than other parts of the country. And it's super artistic here. and it's an experience. And then not to limit to LA, it would be called CALiFORNiCATiON. So there's a lot of people who had a hand in my success in this, but I want to shout out Day One, Calvin Valentine, Python P. But specifically, I'm going to talk to you guys about 3 of the collaborations on CALiFORNiCATiON and how they came to be. The first one I'll talk about is the Quentin Miller collab. So one day, I invited Quentin to my birthday, and it was actually filming a music video for Blessed at the park in Long Beach. And Quentin ended up pulling up, and it was a great day. So then after that, we went to the lab, and I played my album for him, CALiFORNiCATiON, which obviously wasn't out. And he heard the song Giannis with Bernie on it, and he was like, "Oh man, I wish I could get on this." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Okay, well, there's an open verse." Like, I was just gonna fade it down or some shit, or whatever. But so from there, he wrote his verse on the spot. He recorded it on the spot. Like, it was just a great memory, and I was super grateful that he believed in the art too, because Quentin has produced some really big records, and I respect him. So that's cool. That was how that one came to be. And then obviously I put my boy K Burns from Gold Chain Music. Dirty Diggs made the beat. We already had our part done completely. We made it in Venice Beach, California. And yeah, the next collab would be Iman Omari. I met Iman a lot of years ago at Party in My Living Room when it had just started. At that point, I wasn't even having albums out. I had just started music. So fast forward to the pandemic, I ended up DMing Iman about working on some music, because by now I felt like more confident. I felt like, okay, I'm gonna just ask because I think that he'll like my music. So I sent him Cafecita, the music video, and he thoroughly enjoyed it. And so we ended up going to Pirate Studio. We met up there. No, I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. We met up first the day he won his Grammy, and I invited him. So my homegirls were they rented an Airbnb party, so I invited Iman to come by and play board games, and we had a whole vibe going on, cooking and stuff. So because Iman had just won a Grammy, so I was like, oh, we had already had our studio session scheduled. But when I called him about the Grammy, I'm like, yeah, you should come pull up. You can have a drink on us. So boom. After that, Iman and I ended up meeting up at Pirate Studios on West Adams in Mid-City, I believe it's in, like heart smack dab in LA. And we did West Side Tales. He made the beat custom just for me. That's how he does all his music. And I ended up writing my verse, and he loved it. So then I continued. He laid his singing down. Iman also mixed, mastered, and engineered the record. So shout out to Iman and Vibe Music Collective. The last one I'm going to tell you guys about is Polyester the Saint. So Polyester hit me up to do some work on his album in the past, and I'll talk about that more in another episode. However, so when my album came along, I asked him like, hey, can we do one for my album? And of course, he's a gentleman, so he said, of course, yes we can. He too made this beat from scratch just for me, and we did it at Truth Studios, his studio, also in Los Angeles, California. And that studio is a historic space. Many great people have made their way inside of that lab, such as Mac Miller, Janae, obviously Polyester is a legend, Nipsey, and all their pictures are hanging on the wall. And so I knew I had to bring it. I knew I had to bring the heat and the energy, and I could feel, the vibes. It was a great session. Polyester pushed me to really deliver it properly. Do it again. He wouldn't even say that. He just started over a million times till it was right. So I learned a lot from that session. And yeah, I I take a lot of pride in my community and my environment because it made me who I am. And so that's a theme of CALiFORNiCATiON. Just there's not been that many female rappers who have made it from California, specifically LA. And so I definitely have a chip on my shoulder. I definitely, take my hip hop very seriously. I treat it with love, care. I'm a student because I want our perspective to be heard. In order to heal, people's stories have to be told. And when that's not happening, healing is not happening. There's a lot of people who mentor me and have checked on me or have had a hand in where I'm at today. Jupiter from Freestyle Fellowship, One Below from Detroit, Planet Asia, Doughboy, Corrupt, Doodlebug from Diggable Planets, people like Absol, Battlecat. They've given me my props, Blue, Mike and Keys. And yeah, so I take a lot of pride in my environment and my culture, which is Southern California. I want to be the best. The album, CALiFORNiCATiON Wet Size Tales, it means a lot to me. It's my baby. Shout out to infamous John Claude. He's the one who made the artwork. I put out like 20 different mixtapes until I finally created this actual album. It came out on 10/11/22 via Gold Chain Music. Shout out to Planet Asia. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you find inspiration. I hope that anybody who's following their dreams can relate to this body of work. I know anybody who has visited or been inspired by California will definitely find enjoyment, hopefully, in this one, because there's a lot of different flavors, just like my home state, the West Coast, Golden State. I'm a Cali girl, man. I love the beach. I like vegan food, okay? Okay? I love G-Funk, okay? But I'm hip-hop. What's up? Stream it today. Don't forget, okay? Support the arts. Support real shit. Listen to music with your ears, not your eyes. Stop capping on the gram. Make a plan. Goddamn. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed this mini doc. If you did, comment and let me know. And stay tuned for part 2, where there's even more information, more juiciness, more, stories I have.